The temples whisper through the storm, a truth I've always known, a light awakening inside, calling me home. I am the new human, I am the new earth, awakening the wisdom that has lived within since birth. Across the Nile I'm rising, beyond the fear and pain, activating golden timelines, calling my soul again.
Hello, welcome to this recording of the Golden Timelines podcast. I'm here with my beautiful sister, Tara Hegerty, and we will be having such a delicious conversation today about so many things. And especially, I want to just introduce Tara to all my listeners and share the wisdom, the magic, the amazing work that you are doing here in the world as one of the light, what would I call you? Bringer of light, wisdom, just so much.
Wherever we want to go with that.
Yeah, wherever we want to go. So I know I met Tara on a recent retreat in Egypt that I was leading, the Unfolding Rose, and I am forever grateful that you came along and brought your presence. And we will talk a bit about what happened when we came together. I think we opened up a bit of a galactic portal. Yeah, so I'm just so excited to have this conversation with you today. Briefly, you can expand on this, but I know that you are a kinesiologist and you help people activate their soul blueprints and clear any negative distortions. And there's a story about that as well. Tara helped clear some of mine. You help people unplug from the matrix. I love that. Yeah. And also you do so much. I'll let you explain what you do. Let me hand it over to the beautiful Tara.
Thank you, Mel. It's such an honor to be chatting with you. And it's so beautiful that, we did experience our trip over in Egypt and you held such beautiful space over there. And I'm just so honored that our paths have crossed and we're here chatting about everything and not only reflecting on everything, but also kind of moving toward this new timeline that we've been talking about before. So thank you, Mel. It really is an honor to be here. You're right. So I'm a kinesiologist. I am a nervous system educator, an Akashic record teacher. And you know what? I came across this work like years and years ago when I had like my fertility issues. Like I unfortunately lost a child at 11 weeks. So I had a miscarriage. And then through that whole process, I was going through trying to understand why I was diagnosed with Asherman syndrome. And it was really interesting because when I was diagnosed, they said I could never actually ever have a baby again. And I knew in my heart that there was children in my field. Like I could feel it around me. And that really took me on the path to really start to go outside of the medical system and find more answers with the Akashic records. And so that was, and I guess my inception to this kind of work, like, I was very much in the corporate events and marketing previously, and then I've gone into Akashic Records to open this up. And it was through that I did a lot of my own healing, like my ancestral healing of the womb. There was a lot of trauma that I didn't realize that was like held in the womb space. And as I started to do that, I actually ended up falling pregnant naturally after years and years of IVF. And then to me, that was like, wow, this has like magic to it, or there's something to it. I've got to discover more and more. And so that's when I started to dig a lot deeper into the Akashic records, and knowing that you can open up the Akashic records not only of your spirit here in this lifetime and access multiple timelines of your multidimensional self, but also the Akashic records of your business, of the land, of your pets. And so it took me on to this beautiful kind of opening of understanding that, we're not just here in this one lifetime. We're across many, many lifetimes, and we can access that and support our own growth through that.
Wow,
And yeah, and
that's
I guess through that, yeah, I know, right?
wow,
And I
that's
guess through that,
what a
yeah,
journey. So from what was it that you were diagnosed with? Ashman's?
yeah, it was called Asherman syndrome, which it just means there was all scar tissue in the uterus. And so
Mm,
that scar tissue built up after I had a DNC surgery from the miscarriage. And
mm.
then all the doctors said, no, you're not going to fall pregnant at all. And I was like, really? No,
You went,
I'm not
I don't
going to.
believe
I'm like,
that. I'm
I
just going
can't
to
believe
go
that.
into my Akashic records and clear that. That's
Yeah.
incredible. Because,
Yeah. So
I
I was very
tell
much
me.
a closet Akashic Records reader by that stage too. Like I was kind of doing it behind the scenes because no one in my family did any of this work. None of my friends were in this space. And so it was just me kind of like, playing in the field as much as possible. And yeah, so for me to come out and start to do that work, that was a huge initiation in itself as well.
You came out of the Akashic Records closet. That's like, if you're going to come out, that's a good one to come out of.
Right? Right?
Okay, so how did you find your way into Akashic Records? Like, what first
Mm.
drew you in there? Because I'm
It
so
was
interested in it. Hmm.
Yeah, it was just this by chance, of course. Like, I was at this little beautiful bookstore in Brisbane, and I was walking along this bookstore, and this like bookshelf, and I saw this book like sticking out. And I'm such a Virgo, I'm like such a neat freak, so I went to like tap it back in and like fix it up, and then it caught my eye, and I was like, "Oh, what is that?" And I said, "Oh, how to read the Akashic records," and so I pulled it out, turned it around, and I read the back of the book, and it was something about meditation, and you could like improve your meditation skills and something like that. And I'd been meditating for years prior to that, and I kind of felt stuck in that area, and I was like, oh, I'm just going to read this and get this, and literally from there, like got it home, read it from like front to back and then back to front, and then like pulled it out and dissected it all, and was just like consumed within it as well. So and it was from there that I really started to understand myself at a multidimensional level than just the 3D matrix that I was just conditioned to be in. I mean, like we all are. Like we go to school
Yeah.
and we go to uni and we're told to do this, and then you feel like you're unfulfilled in your job, and you're like, why do I feel like shit when I'm so meant for more than this?
Why do I
Is
feel
this
like
it?
shit? Exactly, because you're in a box and there's so much more outside of it, right? Yeah.
Right. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. So,
So
and that literally opened me up. And then I realized you could do so much with the Akashic records just then, other than yourself. I could open up the Akashic records of the land that I was living in and find out more about, why I was there and what I was there to learn from the land. And when the land started to respond and talk back to me, I was like, oh, this is cool. This is really cool. Yeah.
because you work a lot with the land and with the ley
Mm.
lines grid work. Yeah, and I know that we were talking earlier about the link between the grids and the ley lines between Egypt and Uluru.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's just so much in grid work, isn't there?
There
Mm.
is, and it was actually the Akashic Records. I remember doing a Akashic record reading for a lady in the Outback, and she was struggling to fill her retreats, and so we did a Akashic reading on her business and tried to understand a little bit more. And through that Akashic record reading, I started to draw all these squiggles and lines and dots and everything, and I was like, "What is this?" And then
Mm.
the word songlines dropped in. I was like, songlines. I was
Oh,
like,
so
oh, someone gave me a book years ago called Songlines, and I never read it. And now I'm kicking myself I didn't read it because I could have had more information. But what they showed me was that where she was planning to hold her retreats was on this songline on sacred lines, and that she needed to move the retreats up and off the property into another area of her property and hold the retreats there. And she needed to speak to the land, ask permission. And when I gave her all that information from the Akashic records, her jaw just dropped because she was like, "How do you know like where my property is the only other viable place to hold the retreats?" I'm like, "Well, I didn't. The Akashic records showed me." And then that literally took me on this beautiful opening to research as much information I could about songlines. And
Mm,
through that, I got like I hit a wall. Like I'm a white woman trying to find out information about songlines here in Australia. It's like sacred knowledge.
mhm,
And for quite some time I was reading books and I just wasn't getting anywhere. And then Rory Duff dropped into my field. So Rory Duff is a geobiologist over in the UK, and he was mapping all these earth energy lines, and he was intuitively mapping them all over UK, and the Mary line, the Michael line. And it was through his teachings, and I reached out to him and connected with him, was understanding more about the earth energy lines where I am.
mhm.
And what I understood was that these earth energy lines are very, very similar to the song lines. It was just packaged up in a different way that, me as a white woman could actually understand and access. And then when I started to play with the earth energy lines here on the Sunshine Coast and getting groups and community out, I was just like, whoa, yes, there are these incredible, what we call emperor dragon lines that runs through from up here at Sunshine Coast out to Uluru. And these are energy lines that pull frequencies from the galactic source. And it's
Tell
really
me that
interesting,
again.
actually.
Emperor Dragon lines?
Emperor dragon lines, they're called.
Oh,
He calls them type 5 lines. So he has this classification of type 1 to type 5. And
hmm.
type 5 are frequencies pulled from the galactic sources. And what he was saying was really interesting. So back in 2012, he only found 3 of these Emperor Dragon lines. But as human consciousness started to evolve, by 2016, 3 more Emperor Dragon lines appeared. So it's like
Mhm.
us as humans are growing and evolving, and now we're starting to see and understand these earth energy lines. They've always been there,
Yes.
but as we grow and evolve, that we can now understand that they're there and access them and find
Yeah.
out more information with that. So there's only 6 in the world, and one of them runs through Uluru, actually. I wonder if
That's
one runs through
incredible.
Uluru. Yeah,
Yes. And
yeah,
of course, the Inangu people and our Aboriginal brothers and sisters have always known this. Yeah.
right. Yeah,
And we're just starting to, increase our frequency to be able to receive and hold this information.
yes,
You're blowing
yeah,
my
that's right.
mind. You are.
Mm.
Like, I thought my last guest blew my mind, but you're blowing it even more. And
Yeah,
the
and so these
the more I talk to you, the more I want to know. Okay. Oh, we haven't.
earth energy lines, like now we're pulling information from the galactic frequencies,
Mm,
then we're starting to awaken the galactic codes within ourselves. And so the
yes.
more that we stand on land and connect in with those intentionally, then
Mm,
we start to remember our galactic codes and things start to shift and evolve within our multidimensional self as well.
yes.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about the galactic portal that we opened in Egypt between us. There was a couple.
Yeah, there was. Where do you want to go?
Well, should we
Because
start with
I,
the
yeah.
dolphins or the reptilians or the or
Well,
the
it's really
strange little
interesting.
ones?
Yeah, I always, so remember when I called you and I said I really want to come and join you, but there's this calling that I have to go to Dendera. There's a
Yes,
reason why I have to go to Dendera. I don't know why. It'll only probably reveal itself when I'm there, which it did.
yes.
Yeah, so I had a huge calling to connect with the energy of the land, but also the temple itself, because the temple at Dendera felt like tuning forks, like the big pillars as you walk through. It felt like you were almost getting tuned as you were like walking into that space as well.
Mm.
And then we went down and we did a meditation down in
Crypt,
the
one of the
crypt.
crypts.
Yeah.
They're like little secret passageways that the priestesses used to go in and do,
Mm.
private meditations and rituals and ceremonies. So yeah, we went in a few of those. And
Mm.
what did we find there?
Do you want me to tell a story? You tell a story. But
Well,
oh,
from my perspective,
mm,
um, I had always heard about this reptilian hieroglyph image in the crypt. So I was so excited to find it. And that I just had this like real calling to find this and then share it with the group. But I found I was down there by myself and had no one to share the joy with. You'd all come and gone. So I lingered a little bit. And then I remember saying to everyone and sharing pictures like, I found the reptilian glyph. And then our experience kind of continued once we returned. But yeah, what happened from your
Yeah,
perspective?
it was really interesting, like even going down in that crypt. So we obviously went down as a group to do a meditation down there and connect in with it. Um, I think we did, it was a heart connection
Yeah,
meditation as well. We were all standing in the circle and we had our hands on each other's
that's right.
heart, the back
Yeah.
of the heart. And it was just like almost creating like a circular kind of energy between all of us.
Mm.
And through that, I just remember there was, for me, like just a lot of energy kind of moving through the group. And it's really interesting. Sometimes you don't have the words to explain a feeling that kind of comes through you in those scenarios, but it definitely felt like there was energy pulsing through it. And then I got a confirmation that you're done, and I was like, okay, I'm done, fantastic. And I think that's when I decided to leave and hop out of the crypt. And think there's a few that wanted to stay there and connect in. And I think that's when you were taking some photos of the reptilian.
Mm.
Is that when we may
Yeah.
have left?
Well,
Was that
yeah,
after
I
you'd
went
left the
down the
room?
other end of the crypt. So we'd all done the heart
Yeah,
meditation at one end, and then I
yeah.
went down the other end where I found this reptilian image. Yeah, which I was just so drawn to. It's like something really pulled me down there. And I just remember
Mm,
really being so fascinated and wanting to
yeah,
share this reptilian image with everybody. Yeah, but you'd
yeah.
left at that point. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And I guess when we got back, there was, we were talking about it. We actually started to pull up some pictures of the reptilian entities and everything. We were chatting, weren't we, around the table? And,
Yeah.
we were all getting excited about this information because, reptilians that I think they get such a bad rap, that they have come in and, they with the Orion Wars and everything like that. But a lot of the reptilians have actually chosen to live at a different level of consciousness and have risen. So for me, it's just understanding that there's always shadow, like us, there's always shadow aspects of us. Like there's, parts of us that are here for the highest good, and then parts that, have had to go through some of these learnings to reach that as well. And that's what we're kind of talking about the reptilians is like, that they do get a bad rap, but, there are, layers to them, just like there's layers to us.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and it was a very open conversation. But when we got up to our room, it was really interesting. Like I was talking to my roommate, and this like little like thing kind of like out of my peripheral vision just went off to the side and caught my attention. I was like, whoa, what was that? And then as we were talking, then her luggage tag started to rattle. And I was like, oh, that's really interesting. Okay, you've definitely got my attention here. I'm wanting to kind of understand what is this. And then when I just tuned in intuitively, I was like, who's here in this room? Are you for the best and highest good of us? And it was a no, and there was two reptilian entities. And I was like, oh, interesting. Where did you come in from? And they said the crypt from
Mm.
10. I was like, oh, that's so interesting. We were literally just talking about
Yeah.
these entities.
Oops, we
Didn't
brought some visitors back with us. Whoopsie.
And I think at that point, like we'd had dinner, and I think it was about 11:30 at night. So I just did my process of clearing them. And the way that I clear a lot of entities is to open up a portal, and I send the entities through that portal. And I close that portal off. But what I do is that I don't go into necessarily so much information about what the reptilian was doing to us, what it was there for, or anything like that, because entities are in the unseen, and we're in the seen, we're in the physical. It's like that concept. If you own a house, right, and you've got a fence line, and you go down and you see part of the fence line's broken and there's some squatters on your land. You can do a couple things. You can tell them to get off the land. You could go up to the house and grab the deed to the land, and go down and say, look, this is where I am, this is where I live, off you go. And or you could go and get the police to come if they don't move and get them to remove them from the land. The way that I look at clearing entities in that regard is that there are always other hierarchies or councils of light that can operate like the police. And so when I send them through the portal, it's always through love. But I always ask the hierarchies to come in and organize and, I guess, support them in where they need to go. Because when we open up a portal and we send them to the light, do they actually need to go to the light? Not all cases do. So, you know, some of them need to understand, maybe need to go to council, need to, they need to find out more information. So, but that's not up for me to do, because that's not in the scene. It's not something that I'm here to do anyway. But I always open a portal, ask the hierarchies to come in and, and deal with it for me. And I always then double check, has the entities gone through the portal? Yes. Are the hierarchies organizing the entities? Yes. Fantastic. And then from there, it's the personal reflection. It's like, well, why did these entities come in here? What's something that we need to learn as an individual, then as a group, and particularly what came through was, in those instances, sometimes, as a group, if the intention's not strong enough, then sometimes there is a bit of a crack. And say if someone's energy is just off that day, then there's a little kind of wobble in their energy field, and that can sometimes bring, entities in as well. So it's about energetic hygiene within yourself, then energetic hygiene within the group. And there's no judgment of, whose energy is in or
I love
whatever.
it. We can so
Yeah.
learn from this. Like
Yeah.
anybody watching me as a future leader, anybody meditating, just to really have that strong intention
Mm.
to not have any leaks, not have any cracks, to be really centered and focused in love in our hearts. And
Yep.
then to check, I guess, afterwards that you're not kind of carrying little reptilians home with you on the bus or whatever happens. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
It was,
exactly. It's all learnings for us. There's no
mm,
there's no judgment, there's no shame, there's just it's information, and it's information that we
mm,
can use to find out more about, how can we do that better next time? What information needs to come in through for that personally and then as a group. And I think it was about 11:30, yeah, that I cleared those entities. And my poor roommate, I think she was laying in bed going, oh my goodness, there's something else going on, because she hadn't dealt with so much of the entity
mm.
work that I had. And I was so tired. And then I
Yeah.
woke up in the morning. I said, how are you feeling? And she said, oh, look, I kind of did some extra clearing, and there was a clearing of the crypt that I needed to do. I'm like,
See,
oh, that's
this
amazing.
is amazing, and this is perhaps why I was so this. I've been thinking about this. I had
Yeah,
such a burning desire to get to that reptilian, so it's kind of like we were setting ourselves up to clear something bigger. And there was a
yes.
whole string of events that they needed to come. Someone had to bring them back. You had to clear them for our next beautiful, amazing energy worker to clear the whole nest, right? Is
Yeah.
that what happened?
Yeah. Yeah. So she cleared the whole nest in the crypt, because what she found was that the reptilians were laying eggs, and that any people that were coming down into those crypts, they were then attaching to, and then they were kind of attaching to each of those individuals, and then they were going out, to Egypt, back home, who knows where. So she did an energy clearing of the crypt, and then
Mm,
she cleared all the thousands of people that they had attached to as well. And so I was like, wow, that's amazing. And I love it, because this is how, community and women's work women's work, but
mm,
healing work, I want to
yeah,
say, because I
yeah.
don't want to I work with men as well, and I
Love
think
our
they're just
brothers
as
as well, but
intuitive
that
as us.
was a group of women at this stage.
It was, yeah. But it was like this weaving. So I've done this work, she's done this work. And then it dropped in that I just needed to ensure that the crypt had then been sealed. And then so I made sure that the crypt had been sealed and a lot of light language came through. And it was really beautiful. And I was like, wow, this energetically feels like it's complete. And that anyone that does want to come down into that crypt and experience it, it's going to have a completely different energy feeling
Yeah.
now. And yeah, and it was from there we kind of went, well, we wanted to share it with the group. And then we did a big clearing of our group as well. And it just really, it almost like took our group into that like next little level because it was at the end of the retreat too. So we did a big clearing of all the temples that we've been in. And I felt like I was just that next little click that we just all needed just to step into
Was
that space. Yeah.
I knew when you came along, like this retreat attracted high level energy healers, Reiki masters. Like I knew that something quite powerful was going to occur, that we weren't just going as tourists. Yeah, it was a real leveling up. So
Yeah.
it was a humbling experience to be used by Source to just
Mm,
trust and attract the women, the souls that needed to be there, and we all needed to interact with each other. We needed to
yeah.
be there to clear um, the crypt and other temples. It's
Yeah.
just huge. And then on another level, we were going during the Middle East kind of crisis period where there were lots of missiles and a lot of war in that region. And we had such a powerful experience at Karnak Temple, I felt, anchoring
Mm,
in peace into the grid.
yeah. Yeah. That
Yeah.
was huge. There was so
Mm,
much collective fear at that point
mm,
too. I
wasn't
think we
there?
were talking, we're having a bit of a laugh, like your husband thought you were crazy for going over. And my family were the same. They were like, why do you want to go over there? And I'm like, I just need to. There's this soul calling, there's this soul pull to be there on this land and anchor in peace. And yeah, with other grid workers to make this um, to help obviously that light then kind of like reflect out through the earth's energy layers to then be received from that space. And that's probably the closest we could get to, when we think about it, like geographically, like it's pretty darn close to where everything was happening as well.
It is. And it's also like a pretty powerful grid
Powerful
point. So
place. Yeah.
whatever we, download or upload there, the ripple effect. So I feel like it's a huge cosmic computer, Egypt,
Yeah.
So when we
Yeah.
go
Yeah.
there, we're receiving downloads, and then every woman we've taken has just been transformed over the last two retreats. So they come back and they just level up their business, level up their soul mission. So you get a download, but also you're uploading to the grid as
Mm,
a, a soul traveling there to Egypt. So yeah,
yeah.
it's
Yeah.
incredible.
And we did that at Karnak Temple. Was it that with
Yes,
which
that was Karnak.
was that? That was
Yeah,
Karnak.
yeah. When we stood around the altar in the Holy of Holies.
I was about to say, yeah, with
Yeah,
the altar.
yeah,
Mm,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
But we
so
also had some,
powerful.
yeah, it was so powerful.
I'm still
But
trying to link it all, it happens so like because it's like day after the next day, the next day. It's like these, rewiring and recoding and reprogramming that happens and your body's it's like you kind of do all this work and the body's just slowly kind of like catching up as well. And there's been a lot of reflection after it. I've gone back through all my notes just to go back, okay, what happened there? And like just decoding it in a way that, if there's any other information that I need, then I can start to access it because it was all downloaded. It's just like, now how can I access that? It's
yes,
almost like I had to slow things down and I've had to, because when you go into those places, you do get activated and it is like this boom of energy that comes through your whole system. And I remember each time like going into all the temples, always connecting in the morning, always setting my intention before walking on the land. And then once I received that information, then I would just do some journaling and dot points. And then I've literally had to go back and like implant myself back into that just to see if there's any more decoding that needs to come through from it, because the physical body's taking in so much, and it's now time to kind of like pull it apart and tease it and just see what else is sitting there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember when we first arrived, like you and the group we took, it was just, I've never had this happen so powerfully before. But the minute we landed, like, we're like, let's just go over to Luxor Temple and enjoy the temple at night and just, walk around and just soak it in and arrive. And the minute we arrived, you all were just taken by, I call them like the high priests. They're the little men that are quietly in all the shadows that recognize, I feel, when there's souls that have arrived that need to receive. And you
Mm.
were all whisked off to like different
All
points in the
different areas, weren't
yeah,
we? All
and
at
it was
different times.
non-stop. It was just like activation, activation, activation. Yeah, including
Yeah.
myself. And I've never felt that, oh, that much activation. I don't know what word there is for it.
Yeah, activation, and I felt like it was transmissions
Transcendence.
from the temples themselves. Like,
Stone.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And that was
Mm.
such a powerful one too at nighttime as well. I felt like you're not there in the heat of the day, like you're in the evening, and it's light and fresh, and you're able to receive. I don't know, there's something about the codes there at nighttime as well. Really, yeah, really made a
Yeah,
huge difference. Mm.
yeah. And I remember just placing my hands and head on the rock and just feeling so much magnetic energy. And then afterwards, I could hardly walk or talk. It was really powerful. Yeah.
Yeah,
And just feeling the heat, a lot of Kundalini,
yes.
awakening and downloads and transmissions, and just feeling the rocks and the stones moving and morphing. Mm.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's what it felt like, that, in time, especially like, going up to the seven doors and the seven keys. And I know that was
Yeah.
out at Karnak, but yeah, it felt like, you're right. It felt like any time that your third eye touched a piece of that, those carvings or those markings, it almost did transport you and like morph and like woo, and take you into this like place. And it felt like, I was talking to one of the other women that were on the retreat. It felt like it was a spoke, like all these like temples are spokes on a wheel connecting to a central hub. And so like as we kind of like go and put our third eye in and set the intention that it's, for my best and highest good, let me receive what I need to, then literally going into the temple and being transported somewhere. And I'd have all these like, it felt like psychedelic kind of like, felt like it was on mushrooms, like the psychedelic kind of like coatings that were kind of coming through, and then like pulling back out. I'm like, whoa, where am I? And it was like a spoke to the central hub, getting that piece of information into the air. I felt like the central hub was in the pyramids
Yeah,
themselves.
exactly. It's like
Mm.
plugging in with your third eye into this
Yeah,
giant cosmic
yeah.
computer. It's exactly what it felt like. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh.
yeah. It was very powerful, and
Mm.
yeah, and I just think, even just thinking about that, do we necessarily need to go to the pyramids each time? If the temples are offering spokes to the wheel, to the central hub, no,
Mm.
you don't necessarily need to go to the pyramids
Mm.
each and every time. Like you can, yeah, access the information or transmissions that you need from those temples, and also access the hub if you wanted to as well. You know what I mean? Does that make
Yes,
sense?
I
Yeah,
totally know
yeah,
what you mean. Yeah. And that
yeah,
kind of struck me when I was at it was Dendera, and there was that little chapel, and I went to Horus. There was a little chapel for Horus, and I
yeah.
put my third eye and hands to Horus, and that's when I got the image of all these stargates and all these sacred sites connecting back to the central pyramid.
Mm,
Mm-hmm.
pyramid. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah, it all connects back. Like all
yeah, yeah. It's all connected.
stargates. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
So that totally
yeah.
makes sense. Okay.
Mm.
Well, I wanted to
Mm.
talk about our dolphin experience next,
Yeah,
if I may.
of course. Let's go
Because
there.
you have opened up, something happened between me and you where I had such a strong feeling of the dolphin suddenly just flooding into my field.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so we
Well,
were,
I guess that kind of leads into the retreat too.
yeah,
Like, the intention that you're holding a retreat with the dolphins
yeah,
and all the grid work and connections to the dolphins and the Lemurian stargates that I've been doing on the Sunshine Coast. I felt like that was a convergence of, our energies coming together, and it felt so powerful. So through that, we were doing group healings for each other, which was really powerful to witness and support other women. And through that experience with you, Mel, I had been connecting in with dolphins prior to that, up at Noosa and the Sunshine Coast. And so there's some portals there in stargates, Lemurian stargates, where the whales come up in migration and the dolphins go up and they share information to the whales. But what we also get shown is that the dolphins also use that stargate, to come onto land to help bring a lot of joy, a lot of like inner child kind of fun. They're here purely as this sentient beings to help human evolution. And, when we connected in with that, there was a song line actually that ran through that place as well that connected Australia to New Zealand, and we
mm,
sang to this sang to the land, and then we could feel the energy of the dolphins around us because there was a Lemurian stargate near that song line too. And the dolphin energy, I it, it's so interesting to be around because they are such high level, high frequency, I would say high frequency sentient beings. When I even swam with them, I was swimming with them, and they were just circling around us, but it felt like the dolphins were kind of coming in right in front of me and then disappearing. And so they'd come in and I'd be like, whoa, there's a dolphin there. And then it would be, no, it's not. They're actually still circling around us. So they were almost showing me this like shape-shifting abilities that they're able to do, and, bypassing time and space and showing me a lot more information, which made me understand a bit more about how they're working with this Stargate and this portal here on the land, is that they can shapeshift, they can move beyond time and space and support us. Because we think of the density that's here in the land. It does need more joy, it does need more lightness, it does need so much more of our inner child energy to be infused in that, and these dolphins are showing us and almost encoding in us in a way, if we intentionally connect with that, to bring that. And I've noticed a huge difference like connecting with dolphin energy since, like, with my children, there's less inhibitions and I'm more just in this free flow of wonder and curiosity. And we need more of that. We're so highly strung in our
mm,
lives that when we can actually allow that free flow of curiosity, awe, and wonder of life, then all these opportunities and possibilities start to like open up around us that we would
mm.
have been so closed before,
They
being
open up
tucked,
to
tucked,
play.
yeah, in a
Yeah,
box.
they're like, don't hold on so tight. Play, be
Yeah, yeah,
joyful. And
yeah.
when I channel them, the amount of bliss, it's just like, I call it orgasmic. It's just so much fun. It's
Yeah,
yeah.
and receiving that. So I was lying on the table and the dolphin, you're like, oh, there's dolphin energy coming in. And I'm like,
Yeah.
you could feel it. And so as it was like you were almost starting to kind of infuse and become one with the pod of
Mm,
dolphins coming through.
yes.
And then you had this incredible sound that moved through my whole body from my head to my toes, but it was my ears, Mel. I don't know if I told you this, but it was the ears that they were activating the higher frequencies of my clairs, but not just the five senses of what we think our five senses are. There are multidimensional senses that it was activating within me as well. And so my activation of hearing, of sensing, of language, oh, there's so many different senses that have come online since then. But it felt like the frequency was just coming into the ears, and like I'm able to attune to different frequencies. My clairvoyance has really taken off too, as well. Like I started to see a lot of clear imagery even just as I arrived in Egypt. But from then I felt like there was more that was coming through, and I needed to be in a state to receive. If we didn't do that group healing, I wouldn't have been in that state to receive and be open to whatever needs to come through for my highest good.
And they were
And
so strong. They came through
yeah,
so strongly. Like that's never happened to me before.
yeah. And it was
Like I
interesting because
really,
a couple of the women said that looked like you'd actually morphed into a dolphin. Oh, you
yes, yeah.
shape-shifted. You
I
shape-shifted into
shapeshifted.
it.
Yeah, because literally
Yeah.
I was just there working on your head, doing Reiki, maybe a bit of Egyptian temple healing. And then I just saw out of the corners of my eyes these dolphins. And I just said, the dolphins are coming, the dolphins are coming. And then, yeah, then they just took over. And I literally felt like I was in the middle of a dolphin pod. That's exactly what I felt like. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And what did you feel as it was coming through? Because a lot of the sound frequencies that came through
Mm,
as well opened
yeah.
up.
Yeah, it opened my throat up a lot more. Yeah,
Mm.
definitely. It was almost like I couldn't control, I couldn't stop it. And it was just felt so good. And part of my human mind was going, yeah, you're a dolphin right now. Is that normal? And then I'd just be like, doesn't matter. And then I'd be like, maybe I should stop. And I'd hear, nope, there's more. And it would just, yeah, and it would just keep flowing. And I just felt like a real opening and such amount of pure joy that needed to flow through to you, like it needed. And all those sounds, yeah, that I'd never made them before like that.
Yeah, because the dolphin sounds are like dual tone. So you're
Yes,
doing two tones at the same time. And I actually
yes.
find that interesting because we're at the throat chakra of the earth in Egypt as well. So it's activating not
Mm,
only your throat chakra and
yeah.
by bringing these dual tones of the dolphin frequency through,
Mm,
but also this joy and um, like I just want to say pure, like it's like pure consciousness, like almost
yes,
coming through in that field, which
yeah.
probably coincides with a lot of the peace that we're anchoring into the ground as well, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, it was a lot. And yeah, after that, I just really wanted to dive into the water and be a dolphin. Like it
Oh,
stayed with me. And then I remembered, oh, as a child, I used to carry around a dolphin toy. I didn't have a stuffed teddy bear. I had a big dolphin.
of course you did. Of course you
Yeah.
did.
So they've been with me for a while, so I can't wait to go and swim with the spinner dolphins at Sataya Reef. So right now,
Yeah.
thank you to you, I've been researching more with Joan Ocean's work and really starting to channel and get the messages of why we're going to Sataya, which is this
Yeah.
heart-shaped reef in the middle of the red, well,
Oh, is
not
it
the
heart shaped?
it's
Oh,
heart-shaped.
amazing.
It's heart-shaped. Yeah, and these
Oh,
wild spinner
incredible.
dolphins are known to just really hang out in huge pods, like 100 or
Mhm.
so dolphins, and to come, we don't chase them, but you just kind of moor your yacht there and you wait. And when the
Yeah.
pod arrives and they want to play, you join them. So yes, that's October.
Yeah, that would be incredible.
Yeah.
Just what I've experienced, like with the dolphins and the whales in the water, is that it's such a heart-opening experience. And, it was interesting. It was like when I held on to the thought that I want to see dolphins, I want to see dolphins, I want to swim with them, they went around. And then when I just let that go and I allowed my heart just to open, I think some light language came through. I set my intention of why I was there, they appeared. And it was
Yeah.
just like, whoa, like they were already there. It was just like, boom, they popped up. And you're like, are you already there? I swear you're already there. But yeah, I just didn't see you because of, the control that and force that I was putting onto it. But when I let that go,
I
um,
love
it,
that.
it's a different experience in the water because you're in literally, like, if you think about the ocean, it's like crystals. They're like salt is like little mini crystals. So you're swimming in crystals, and the frequency of transmission through that is just incredible. So even
Mm,
just putting your head underneath and just listening to the sounds that they're bringing through can just be, oh yeah, healing in itself. Yeah.
yes. Oh,
Yeah.
oh,
It'll
I
be
love that.
incredible, Mel.
Yeah,
Mm.
it's going to be incredible. And you just gave me a really good message then. It's like I need to let go of the control of trying to, because we're still attracting souls to this beautiful retreat. So the dolphin message is just let go and open the heart, connect
Yeah,
with the heart. Yeah.
definitely.
And those
Definitely.
who feel called will come. Yeah.
Yeah. And and by the sounds of it, if it's in a heart-shaped sea and you're out there with a spin of dolphins, oh, like it will be one incredible experience, that's for sure. And you're in the land of, of Egypt essentially
That's
too. So
right.
the throat chakra.
Yes,
So for all those people that are wanting to really kind of step into their voice, step into their authenticity, step into their integrity, like let the land do that. Let the dolphins show you,
exactly.
you
And we're
know?
going to collect. We're going to be there to, embrace the dolphin codes, and then we're taking the trip to the temples. So it's called
I love
Dolphin
that.
Codes Temple Key. So then you'll bring all that beautiful open heart into the temples. So you can imagine what
Mm,
what you'll receive in that state after being
absolutely.
opened by the dolphins. Yeah.
Mm.
Mm.
Yeah, it'll open up a huge portal
Yes.
for whatever your intention is, I guess. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, super
So that's
powerful.
exciting. So
Amazing.
tell me about Uluru, because I know you're about to lead a retreat there, and that is also an amazing sacred place to visit. I've just been there like 3 times in 12 months. Yeah.
Yeah, well, you know how you were saying that any time that people go to Egypt, it just, you see them just step into leadership, you see them just change completely, the transformation. Like coming back from Egypt with you, Mel, is that came back as this like inner knowing, like rock steady knowing that Uluru needs to happen and it needs to happen as soon as possible. So, I always had this vision behind me that I needed to go to Uluru because I was connecting with the grid lines up here on Sunshine Coast, which actually connect to the geomagnetic line of the Emperor Dragon lines. And I was like, it's going to happen. I'm going to have to do this. And it's really stepping it into that next level of yourself. And when Uluru came through, I started to connect in with so I had an Aboriginal spirit, or Indigenous spirit, for many years, and I haven't connected in with him, but he's like this man, and he's got this big spear, and he kind of, how they kind of stand on one leg with the leg kind of,
Yes.
in what yoga position is that when they're kind of
Like the tree
half
pose.
tree? I would say half tree.
That's so
He's got his leg
interesting.
up. He's got his leg up on his thigh,
Yes,
one leg. Yeah.
exactly how that same image, that same spirit, that guide has appeared to me, and someone else described it that same way as well. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yes.
he's been coming in and showing me more information
Mm,
about
mm.
Uluru and connecting to Uluru. And it's been really interesting the way that he connects and communicates, which isn't just my inner knowing, it's imagery that's just coming through really powerful. And it's the dream time. So he's showing me in his own way what needs to happen on all these different sacred sites through the red center of Australia. And I find it interesting because, Egypt is the throat chakra of the earth, and then Uluru is the solar plexus chakra of the earth. So I've opened up my throat chakra, and now it's time to take a group to open up their solar plexus chakra, which is all about your will, your personal power, and really stepping into that part of you that is sovereign, that you are a sovereign human being and you don't need anyone or anything to tell you otherwise. And it's just innate in yourself. And so, yeah, there's Uluru came through, and we are going. The way that it was shown to me was that I had to do like a pilgrimage from Alice Springs and start in Alice Springs, head down into Kings Canyon, and then we're going into like a community space called Lilla Community where we get to walk on like sacred Indigenous land there, and then head out to Kata Tjuta, which I'm really excited for because Kata Tjuta has a different energy to it. It has like a very it's like Kata Tjuta is the all the it's called many heads, and you can actually walk through it, kind of like the temples. They're huge, big monoliths around you, and you can actually walk inside of it. Whereas Uluru, you can only obviously walk around it. So Kata Tjuta is just like there's something really powerful in that
So
space.
powerful. Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah. We went there with a group. Yeah. It's also
yeah,
like it's known to be like the men's spiritual area, but when we walked in, or maybe this is why the men have it spiritual, it felt like a
yeah.
big yoni, like a big room.
Thank you. Yeah, because I get told the same thing that it's a men's sacred land. And I'm like,
Mm,
no, there's feminine
mm,
energy there
mm,
too, really
mhm.
powerful feminine
Yes.
energy.
Yeah, there was.
Yeah, yeah, that makes
Mm.
sense. And then obviously from Cartagena, head out to Uluru. And so yeah, really looking forward to camping. So 2 nights, we'll spend 2 nights in the hotel, which will be nice and look like luxuries. But then the 4 nights camping out under the stars. And what I'm really looking forward to is
Yeah.
like the UFO sightings and, connecting to the stars, the Pleiades, the Orion, the Seven Sisters, but also what else is here? If we're on the galactic frequency energy lines, I'm sure there's going to be more information and more insights and more sightings that might come through as well because there's no pollution, you've got clear skies, and you can just absorb it while you're lying there on the ground. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Mm. And you have the intention to connect with whatever wants to connect with you. So yes, that's exciting. Oh, I
Yeah,
want to come. When
definitely. Oh, definitely. So, and
when are you
yeah, and
going?
just November. So heading in November 2026, end of this
Mm.
year. And yeah, it's warm. It's always warm in the center of Australia, but we'll be doing a lot of activities in the mornings and in the evenings and afternoons, just to really allow the body to process during the middle of the day. I think it's what we learned over in Egypt is that you do these connections to the land and connection to sacred sites, but it's equally as beneficial to have that downtime to integrate and reflect and really bring in, what that meaning is for you personally moving through it too. So,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
so important. The
mm,
integration and the embodying, and
yeah,
it can be
yeah,
exhausting.
yeah, yeah. And I think that's part of the work is that the land will do the work with you, and then it's up to your human self to then kind of decipher some of the information that comes through and what that means for you moving forward. Because when you do connect in with these sacred sites, the amount of energy that's pulsing through them, you do have to be so intentional, and what you're actually calling in, what you're wanting to activate, particularly if it's like your sovereignty or your personal power. I know in Egypt, like, I really want to activate my voice, but it put me in some really, not, I wouldn't say sketchy situations, but situations that made me use my voice in a really sovereign way. And I've come out of that really understanding how to use my voice in a way that I hadn't been using before. And so I can see that working with Uluru in the same way is that it's going to activate me, but it's going to give me situations to really put that into practice as well. And I'm going to have to be comfortable to receive those
That's
situations
right. This
with
is
that new information.
yeah,
Yeah.
this is the truth about these pilgrimages and these sacred travel journeys is there are moments where it's uncomfortable for your growth. So you have high bliss moments and then you have really like, ooh,
Yeah.
uncomfortable. I'm really feeling vulnerable and wow, in touch with some areas of myself I didn't want to really look at, but it's if it's in a container, which you're going to provide and we provide it of
Yeah.
love and support, then it's a beautiful way to be able to process what you're being downloaded with, what's being activated, as long as you've got that container of support and love and sisterhood or brotherhood around you.
Yeah, it's so true. I remember like day 3, I think everything kind of started to not fall apart, but just started to like break open because there's only so long you can brace in those kind of containers for, right? And hold, this facade, and then everything starts to open up, and you're like, whoa, okay, I've got to manage this. I've got to like work at it at a deeper level now. And, it's almost like catapulting you forward. And it's so natural for us to avoid and push that away because it's scary, it's uncomfortable, it's dark, I don't want to go there. But the more that you start to lean in and trust that that container will hold you, the more that you start to really move through the changes and the reprogramming that you actually intentionally want to be calling in. So we do want to put that wall up, don't we, and avoid. But if we just gently lean in ever so slightly, it'll really support us in turning that around and making the changes that we need.
And it's so worth it. The leveling up you get from this is so worth the little bit of
So
discomfort.
worth it. Yeah, so worth it. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I love just seeing you shining and just going off in an even more powerful way. You're already a powerful soul doing, brilliant work here, illuminating other people's souls to their missions. And now you're going off to another power center on the grid line. So I can't
Yeah.
wait to see where
Yeah.
this takes you and everybody that connects with you and goes into your field. Like
Yeah.
I know what happened with
Yeah, it's
our
not for the
first client.
faint-hearted, is it?
No,
It's not for the faint-hearted. It's like for those really high frequency beings that are willing to turn inward, shine the light inward, so they can start to understand themselves at a deeper level and make that change internally. And then, the rewards are like incredible because it, reflects, out in your outer reality then,
yeah.
like, yeah, that law
Life
of
just gets
reflection.
better, right? Yeah.
Mm. Yeah,
The more
yeah.
you shine your light on the inside and level up, the more the outside mirrors that. So life
Hmm.
becomes just full of synchronicities and magic and abundance. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's like when I think back just 12 months, the amount of change that happens once you start going deeper into this work, it's
yeah.
fast.
It
And it's,
is.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
it's incredible. Oh, exciting.
It is fast, but we can keep up with it. This is the thing. Like
Oh,
we think we
yeah.
can't
Yeah.
do it and we can't, it's
Yeah.
too much or it's too expensive or it's,
Mm.
all those things come up, to the mind and pulling you back into just staying safe into those places. But when you do take that step forward, uh, you know, it does catapult you, but you're ready for it. You're
Yes.
ready for it.
Yeah.
And and the changes on the other side are exponential. So much better than what they were before. So yeah.
And I know it's a cliche, but if you know, you know. You know,
Yeah.
like ways you can know if you're being called to it. Well, my big way of knowing is just tingles, body tingles. I think you called them spirit bumps, or you
Yeah.
just it's like zzz, your energy field just goes, oh, I'm being pulled there, and it feels good. And then synchronicity.
Yeah.
And then once you go, okay, this is meant for me, then everything falls into place to get you to
Exactly right.
that
Yeah.
sacred side.
It's so true, isn't it? When you finally say yes to it, things will
Yeah.
start to fall into place. And then what I had noticed is that if there's some sort of barrier for you, like for instance, I remember there was like a financial, like I can get the finances across to you. And I was like, oh, that's really interesting. Like I tried like 3 times, had to be on the phone to the bank. I knew I wanted it, but it like was a lot of effort to go and make sure that it all aligned. And I was like, am I supposed to be doing it? And I'm like, yeah, I'm getting the full body yes, tingles. I'm like, this is something else I need to be looking at. So it's almost like you get all these synchronicities happen, but you also sometimes get the blocks or the barriers that come up as well, that need to be cleared to allow you to get into that space as well. I was like, oh, I need to look at some of the finances part of this. Okay, cool. And it just took me down a little pathway just to clear some of the limiting beliefs that I had around money, and that, particularly sacred travel, brings, because, it is such a huge investment. Like, it's not something that, we consider, like a weekend away. It's a huge investment that you're spending, a week going off into another country, or, another piece of land by yourself. And, when you have those experiences with money, and you start to work through them and understand them, like, all I can say is it just opens you up and shifts you. Like, it's like the ceiling that you may have had with money or money barriers, and you notice it and you're aware of it and you work through it, it just takes you into that next little level and bumps you up into another little level. Because there's parts of us that are like, we're done with just the one-on-one sessions, we're done with just, the courses and all that. Let's get out into the land and actually do the work there. Yes, it comes at a higher cost, but I guarantee the amount that you receive doing, say, a week in Egypt or a week in Uluru will benefit you for the next 2 years. And you can see that benefit, almost immediately in your reality. Yeah.
It is immediate, because I'm just watching everyone that's been on our retreats, and they've just like flown off.
Yeah.
And businesses have just gone boom. And even for me, I'm like, oh, well, let's just 10x that. Like, before I was like, should I charge that much for a one-on-one? And I'm like, I think we need to charge this much for a whole 2 weeks. Yeah, so it takes you into this different mindset, because you know just how valuable it is and how important it is, and it connects to everything we do. Our soul mission, New Earth,
it does, doesn't
the
it?
golden timeline.
Yes. It takes you out of the scarcity and into the abundance, right? Like, and that was that scarcity aspect of me coming through that needed to be looked at. Even though my full body was there was just this one little barrier that needed to be looked at, and then the floodgates opened from there. It's amazing.
Yes, abundance.
The golden timelines of abundance.
Yes, and that's why this podcast is now all about the golden timelines. It used to be called the White Owl, but after Egypt, it transformed into a golden owl on the golden timelines, weaving golden threads. So I'm just so grateful to connect with all these golden beings like you that are helping us all, really let go of what we need to drop, clear what we need to clear, so that we can embrace this new earth, this new timeline, this new age.
And it's not just us individually too, it's the community, it's the weaving of all of our energies that's needed right now as well. So
that's right. It feels like a giant web with all these like lights just lighting up and finding each other, and it's like okay. Well, where can people find you? I'll put links below if they want to connect, either to come on your Uluru retreat in November or to do some work with you one-on-one.
I'd be honored if anyone felt the call to come in and check out my world. So it's tarahegerty.com, or you can find me on Instagram at tara.hegerty. Come in and say hi. I'm always open to having little DM chats with people. And if there's any questions or anything that came up, like always open to talk about whatever, entity removal, grid work, sacred sites, whatever floats your boat. I love those conversations offline. It lights me up.
And Tara's so approachable and easy to talk to, and I think there needs to be a part 2 to talk about everything else. But thank you so much for joining me today, and I will pop this up on Spotify, and if you're watching it on YouTube, just message. We will keep track of it and answer any questions. Yes.
Amazing. Thank you, Mel. Always an honor. Always a pleasure to connect with you.
Light awakening inside, calling me home. I am the new human. I am the new earth, awakening the wisdom that has lived within since birth. Across the Nile I'm rising, beyond the fear and pain, activating golden timelines, calling my soul again. The golden timelines. The golden timelines. Through the gateways of the Yak, through the codes the ancients left, every step becomes a prayer, every breath a sacred yes. Mark reminds me of my truth, the high priestess lights the way, the gold frequency